Okay, so as usual, we're gonna go straight into the video, and I just want to say that I actually like this game. I think this game is pretty good, it's pretty fun, and that this game is really cool for what it is, but this game should have been called Sonic Rush Colors. I feel like that would be a good name for it, but this is literally just Sonic Rush, but with Sonic Colors, and it's 2D, so it ain't a 3D game, so it's basically Sonic Colors 2D, basically. And unlike Sonic Rush, you actually have Wisp, just like Sonic Colors on the console. And it's just crazy how both of these games were praised by all the fans, or a lot of fans, because people say that this game is just meh and okay, but this game's just really underrated. The level design's really interesting, it's really fun, it's the best designed out of all the Dimps games, but I mean, sometimes it does get a little annoying with the bottomless pits, but it's not really that bad, to be honest, though. But I do think Sonic Rush Adventures level design was a lot more fun, to be honest, because there were a lot more opportunities to do cooler stuff than what you can do here, but it still isn't bad, though. You can do some pretty cool stuff, shortcuts, etc. Like, it has the same stage order as Sonic Colors in the console version, and, well, the same stages, too. But sometimes there are different gimmicks in the stages. Like, near the end of this act here, you actually go gliding, basically, and you have to avoid some, I don't even know what they're called, like these bomb things, and then it's just like a short segment, so it's not really that big and not that interesting, but it is cool to see the Ferris wheel in the background, so that's a nice touch. Do you know what's also nice? The special stages, because these are actually pretty good, though. People say they're actually bad, and I have no clue why, but I think it's because people say that these special stages are easy and you have like no challenges. But the basic objective for these special stages is to collect the right amount of the color that says on the top of the screen. Like, let's say it says yellow, well, you have to collect yellow, and you have to dodge the other colors. But they don't really punish you for it, though. But I don't really have a problem with it. As long as they're borderless, like harmless, it's perfectly fine for me. It's not bad at all, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, sure, they're not really that unique, and they seem to be pretty, like, rushed, but just know this is another Dimps game that was also, they were developing Sonic 4 right beside this, so they had to split Dimps' team for them to develop both games, so I don't really blame them that much, in my opinion. And also, this game also has a game mode similar just like the console version, which is called Eggman's Sonic Simulator. It's a basically versus mode, and it's not really that big of a deal. There's also this hub world, well, I wouldn't call it a hub world, it's just a level world select, basically, and there's only 2 acts for these, but with the console it has 6 acts, actually. So I guess they're trying to put more length in the game on the console. But I just really hate to say this, but just hear me out. I don't like the bosses. I just really don't like them. Like, they're not really that fun, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, they're basically like Sonic Rush Adventure, where you can hit them multiple times once they're like free, like you can hit them. But the patterns are so random. Like, they can literally do a random attack and then you wouldn't know it. Like, look, the Starlight boss is really cool and all, but it is so, like, unpredictable. Because, like, after a few minutes, like, you get to know the attacks, but here, it's just, like, trial and error, and it's just cheap design to me. And would I say that they're worse than the ones in Sonic Rush? No, I wouldn't say that, but they're just not really funny, in my opinion. And that they actually take really long, though, in my opinion. Like, there's these attacks that they do and you hit them a lot, but then at the final hit they sometimes regain health too. I don't know if that just like a thing they do to make the bosses harder, but I just really don't like that, and I find this to make the bosses even worse than ones in Sonic Rush Adventure, because those bosses were really good. And also there's a story in this game, but I do think it's better than the one on the console version, because there's actually appearances from every character, or a lot of characters from the Sonic series, and it's a lot more, like, I would say that it's more occupied than just, like, there being an empty theme park and stuff. But anyways, back to the story. These environments just look really good. And I know when I go to my Sonic Colors on the console review, I know I'm going to say a lot of stuff similar to this video. I know, but there isn't really that much to say about this game, because it's basically the same. Well, obviously, in terms of gameplay, then, well, it's different, but I mean, I could talk about the new moves, which you could actually stomp, do all the other stuff you could do from Sonic Unleash, and the homing attack button is actually on the face button now, than on the R button, so it's trying to, like, modernize the moveset more to make it more different, and I mean, it's not really that bad in my opinion, but they did remove tricks, sadly. I think it's because the Wisp capsules are the ones that give you more boost gauge, and the enemies give you more boost gauge too, so I can understand why there aren't any tricks, but it is kind of sad to see, and muscle memory at the beginning made it really hard to get away from that, so yeah. Also, another thing I like to say about the bosses from earlier is that you can actually boost during the bosses, and I mean, it's not really good or bad, it's just perfectly fine, it doesn't really, like, do that much, but it is faster to hit the bosses, so I guess it's technically a good thing. There are also some wisps that are also exclusive to the DS version, and I'm not going to say all of them, but there's one I really want to highlight, which is the Burst Wisp. And this one was only in a few stages, but I think this one's pretty good, to be honest, though. Like, you can see it charges you up into the air, and also some of these DS exclusive ones also made comebacks in newer games like Sonic Lost World and Sonic Forces, so yeah, that's pretty cool. So this game is technically important to the series and just a game that was just made for DS users. But most of the other Wisps are from the console version. But another thing that is better than the console version is that you can actually boost a lot more in this game than, well, on that actual console version, because on the console version, you were barely even boosting. Like, you boost for a few seconds and then that was it. But what I also want to talk about here is the battle mode. And this mode is okay. I mean, it's not really that fun per se, but I mean, it is pretty cool to, like, go against someone and then play against them, and then, well, you could actually play with your friends, multiplayer, and then you can do it single player if you'd like, and it's all for anyone, so it's just like the Sonic Simulator that I said earlier. Like, at the bottom of the screen, there's also these attack things, and I didn't know until I realized that these attacks you can use against the other player, so I kept getting knocked back because I didn't use the attacks at all, which is pretty dumb. But I want to talk about some of the stages, starting with Starlight Carnival. And this stage is just so dang fun, though. I mean, sometimes the stage goes over the board with Bombless Pits, but I mean, sometimes it goes overboard in how good it is. That's just how much fun these levels are. Like, they're harmless levels, they're not bad, and they're just fun in general. Like, this game's probably, like, one of the best designed. I'm gonna talk about the Wisp on my Sonic Colors video on the console version, and I might mention the ones from the DS version. And might also talk about Sonic Colors Ultimate, because it's basically the same game, but has a lot more problems, but I might mention that. It's not 100% sure that I will mention that. But I do think that this game is pretty underrated, and I wish more people talked about it, but it doesn't really have an identity of its own. It's just a game where, like, it was just sold for the sake of Sonic Team and everyone else just to make more money, which is kind of sad, to be honest. Also in the worlds, or you call them level select, there's also these missions, and these are normal styled missions. They're not nothing to write home about. They're not really like that important. So, I mean, they're just there if you want more extra content from this game. And also, there's just other things that you can do for the characters in the world than them just being there and standing there and just being a cheerleader for most of the game, because they all actually help you. And plus, there's also red rings in this game, and they get you infinite boost, and you're probably like, well, what did the Chaos Emeralds do? Like, what did they do? But we'll get to that in a second. But the missions are basically like collect the amount of rings, or destroy the amount of enemies, or getting like the Wisp, boost gauge, just normal objectives basically. Also, the final boss of this game is the same as always, but I felt like this boss was a little more annoying. I don't know why, but it did feel climactic, and it did feel pretty cool though. So, it's just okay, it's just there. But you thought that I was gonna forget about Supersonic, because there's actually a Supersonic final boss against the Mother Wisp. To be honest, though, this final boss is pretty good. It's probably my favorite boss in the whole game. Like, it's just so climactic, like the other final boss that I said earlier. Like, this one just felt so much better than all the other ones, and it felt so much fun, and it wasn't a peace breaker like all the other games, or most of them. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this game. Even though it was annoying some of the time, it is pretty underrated in my opinion, and I did have a good time with this game. So would I recommend for you to play it? Yeah, it's a perfectly serviceable game. But that's all for today's video. Please subscribe, and I hope you have an amazing day. So, yeah. Bye.